Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm John from ABES College, and I'm here with Anna, the lead instructor in our community support worker program. Today, we're talking with Rima. She's a graduate of the community support worker program. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you for joining us live. You can post any questions in the comments on this video, and we'll try to get to all of them. And I will also be posting this video up on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on the notification bell so that you get notified on any future videos that we have coming. We've got a lot of videos planned where we'll be talking with our instructors and with graduates about the programs and the careers that people enter into after graduation. So Rima, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's such a pleasure. Oops. Well, the privilege is ours. The privilege is ours.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if you could start our conversation off by telling people why you decided to go back to school and why you chose to go to school at ABES.
Okay, that is a good question. So we moved to Calgary a few years ago. So basically in my home country, I am a dentist. So when we came to Calgary, we found that the licensing procedures and stuff like that to make my dental license work would take a lot of, effort and money and stuff like that. So since I had a family to take care of, I just couldn't make that work for myself. Just a little self-disclosure here, even though I do have a passion for my profession, that wasn't looking practical. But what I did was I joined. I was working as a health claim administrator in a corporate before studying in ABES. And that's when I started to think that, hey, why don't I just take this as an opportunity to look into my dreams, into something that I really want to do. And so when COVID struck and things were going up and down at the office, I decided to take a break from the stress that I was experiencing in that job, because that job was good actually, but I was not able to fit into it because that was just a job I took for, literally survival. So the stress was piling up, and then I took a break and I decided okay, I'm going to look into myself. And so I had this dream always to literally help people, maybe go into social work or counseling or becoming a therapist. Then I started researching about courses and what would work well. And of course, I wanted to get into the workforce as soon as I finished studying. So when I looked, the courses were quite long. Some courses were very expensive. And I had heard about ABES when I came to Calgary first. I had heard good reviews of ABES that somehow, I really don't know from where I heard it, but I'm sure it's from Google or Facebook search and everything. But the same message that came to me was that graduates from ABES were getting into the workforce quite easily. I mean, they would be appointed soon. And so that was a big catch for me because I wanted to get into the workforce. And when I just, tallied my choices, it looked like if I'm going to study for many years, it's going to take me more time to get in the workforce. So I found the program, community support worker program, and I liked it because it looked like what I was looking for in a nutshell. It seemed to cover up so many topics, even though I didn't know everything, but I understood that it would prepare me to get a good job and enter the field of social work. Of course, it's not a degree, but then I could enter. And then if I wanted, I could pursue my education after that too. So I approached ABES, and then the story goes from there.
Wow. Well, that's I'm so happy to hear. It's so rewarding to hear people they're finding us through reviews that take the time to do that research and hear about other positive experiences. Can you tell me, and I'm going to hand this over to Anna to get involved as well, but tell me about the classroom experience. What part of the curriculum got you maybe most excited, or did you find the most valuable? And I'm going to mute myself and I'll let you and Anna go on this one.
This question is for me, right? Yeah, okay. So when I entered ABES, the first thing is I liked the way they they grew me into onboarding, because for me, I'm quite an adult, mature student coming back into college. So I had all those inhibitions whether I could study, and was COVID. So actually the class is in person, but because of COVID it was online. And that was a stress, to manage family responsibilities and everything. But the onboarding went quite smooth. And my instructor, Anna, the one thing I really have to say is she's very flexible and accommodating. So as a person, for me, having family responsibilities and having to study, that is a major, that would have been a major stressor. But she was so, she used to help. I know that all my classmates know this, but I just have to say it because it's not easy at this season of my life to, do all assignments on the time and all that. But so she would always help us, and that time priority, making time management skills, all that was something that classroom really taught. And that even helps today for me in my workplace. So classroom experience as such, because it was in Zoom, it was really good. And classmates, getting to know other classmates and the culture they come from, that itself was a learning experience, along with the curriculum, how to deal with people, go over my own prejudices and barriers, and learn, it's okay not to be okay. You don't have to, be the liked person all the time, but at the same time, you can still have empathy to people. So that was what a classroom experience meant for me. And the biggest thing throughout the classroom was of course, I studied a lot of good subjects, which helps me in the workplace today. But more than that, I can say is there's a lot of self-discovery that benefited me. Every class that we went through was really self-discovery for me, mindfulness and all those things, conflict resolution. Everything was not only helpful for the work, it was also helpful for my personal life.
That's something, Anna, I know you and I have talked a little bit about, is that emphasis on self-inquiry and self-awareness in the curriculum. Mm-hmm. Can you, I'm really putting you on the spot, Anna, but can you think of some of the exercises or an example of something sort of specific from the curriculum that you do to try to develop that within students?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a conversation, an ongoing conversation of, discovering ourselves and our prejudices, like Rima was saying. And I think one of the ones that is really interesting is when we start questioning our own stereotypes, the stereotypes that we have, because the common thing is, as a class, we say, oh no, we don't have stereotypes, we're very accepting people. And then we start asking okay, what about a person that looks like this? What about a person that smokes, or a person that practices this or that? And then, the faces kind of start to change, and we start to realize that we do have those stereotypes. And we do act differently, or we may treat people slightly differently because of that. So the importance is not having those stereotypes, but being aware of them and how they affect us. And then how can we possibly manage them so that when we're dealing with our clients, it doesn't affect our communication or our relationship. And I remember for Rima, that was a big moment of, oh my gosh, I thought I wasn't judgmental, but it turns out I am. And as a class, we all kind of have a moment of acceptance of, yes, we do judge, that's human, but how do we manage? So I think that conversation was really interesting with every class. And I think, Rima, you're experiencing that now in the work that you do, right? And there's a lot of things that we see in the field and behaviors that it doesn't mean the person's bad or means to do us wrong. It's just they're in a part of life. And if we can understand that, then we don't let those prejudices get in the way of supporting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a really powerful just experience overall to go through something like that, and then to be able to use it so directly with your career. Sounds really incredible.
Yeah. And I think Rima shared with us, if you don't mind, John, in the past, Rima shared with some of our classes. Rima's pretty amazing in coming and talking to the classes and telling them about her experience. And you've mentioned a lot of moments where you've seen behaviors in clients that are in distress. And those are behaviors that you wouldn't necessarily think, in average, you wouldn't say, oh, they're just in trouble. You would immediately think they're rude or they're disrespectful, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess I don't know if, John, if it's okay for Rima to kind of speak on how important that self-awareness of that and understanding that background is when you're dealing with these types of behaviors.
Yeah, I think that was huge because during class, I remember we, the curriculum and Anna used to always emphasize on mindfulness. So in the beginning, it was like, oh, okay, mindfulness, okay. But then as it went, and then as we went into practicum and everything, it totally dawned on me and as to how important mindfulness is all about. Because unless we are mindful of our own triggers and what our own needs are and what motivates us, that was something that we had as an exercise during class, like what is actually motivating us, what is our need, because that could get in the way when our client or participant is heightened or it's like they're in distress. So am I reacting to it or am I responding to it? So if I have to respond, I have to have mindfulness as to I am not acting on my triggers and on my heightened emotions or like need to be correct, but I am actually looking at them at a trauma-informed care perspective. And this was something that was hugely emphasized like during class. And also one more thing was like self-care was also emphasized so much in the class week one. And I remember in the beginning, honest to say, I don't know if other students did it, but I would just make up an essay and submit when we had assignments to submit this pretty assignment on self-care, which was just made up. And I was like, why do we have to have the self-care assignment? But actually in the profession that we are at, the workplace, it's really a workplace where we face literally a lot of heightened emotions on a day-to-day basis. So if we do not take care of ourselves as a worker, if I don't, I'm definitely going to have burnout and I'm going to lose all my empathy for the person who's standing in front of me. So that was something like we used to have weekly assignments to put up, like, what we're going to do for self-care, what's a self-care journal. And I really think that was a beautiful exercise that we did during class. And that really helped me during my practicum. I would literally go back to those journals and see what I wrote so that I start doing it.
Yeah, I think you have a great example in the work that you're doing is the importance of that constant self-care. And it takes a level of self-awareness and self-acceptance and humbleness to say, I need a break. Okay, I can't do it all. I can't take it all, and I can't solve every problem. And, I can only do so much. And I think for a lot of us coming into a program like this, we think, we're the person who's going to solve, or the person who's going to have all the answers, but you can't, like, we just humanly can't. And it takes a skill to learn when to have that self-care, when to see the signs of your body and your mind that you're taking that on. And I think you've learned that. I mean, even if in class that wasn't really clicking yet, but it did click. And I think you're a great example of how important that is and how to do it right.
Yeah, so true. And I remember, like, during all the mock counseling sessions that we used to have in class, I remember Anna always reminding us, you just have to listen. You don't have to jump in and give solution. It was so hard to resist the urge at that time to be the fixer of that, of the person we're listening to. But that was a very good self-regulation exercise that I just really am so thankful for that we did it in class so many times with classmates, so that when we're dealing with participants in real life right now, like clients, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, don't just resist the urge. You're not here to fix their problems. You're here to create an empathetic environment for them so that they understand what's best for them themselves. I remember Miss Anna saying this so well, that they know their solutions. You just have to help them find it for themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just reflecting on how much of this is resonating with me just even in my own life right now. It's like really impactful to hear you talk about some of this. And I think there's got to be so much value beyond just it being an academic curriculum for a career training. It's like the amount of personal development, it sounds like, that you've gone through, in the life skills, not just career skills, but life skills that you've built. It seems very, very compelling. I'm really interested in it. You mentioned a couple times though, also, like, out on the workforce population you're working with all sensitivity to confidentiality. I'm wondering if what you can tell me about your practicum experience and about your job, your career now.
Okay. So I, for my practicum, I selected, I was, given the opportunities. I'm so thankful that they gave me that opportunity to do my practicum it's a faith-based organization. It's a second stage recovery program that houses and teaches life skills to women who are, running away from sexual exploitation, abuse, and homelessness. And so this is it's a very beautiful program where we provide housing, and we also have a day program where we give them a lot of life skill trainings, goal setting, and literally helping them to transition into a life of dignity and sense of security, and also financial empowerment. So this is the organization. So I knew this organization because I had volunteered there before. But ABES had actually supported us a lot to find good practicums in very good organizations. So I did get other offers too, but since this organization, I know them and my heart goes for them. Since when they offered me the position, I was so grateful and I was thankful. I just took the opportunity. So practicum, I did my practicum as a practicum student in the day program. So my typical day would start at 8:30 to 4:30, assisting the women there, being mentored by my day program director, who would teach me how we take intake of the women, part of my responsibilities were teaching classes, which I had to prepare myself, and some creative classes, some life skill program classes, and sitting with them, listening to how my director, my supervisor, was giving a goal session. So it was like a day program work that was being done from Monday to Friday. So one thing that our director, I always remember this, our director when we when we were graduating and going to practicum, we had a orientation from the director of ABES. So one thing she said, like she did say a lot of things, but one thing hit my head and it stood with me, and I think that really worked for me, is she said that always be respectful and kind to your supervisor. For not only that they gave the opportunity, but they do also a lot of work, and at the end they're also mentoring you. So it's always best to replay that. I mean, they thank them every day if possible. So that stuck with me, and I think that helped me to build a very good relationship with my supervisor. She was a tremendous support for me. She taught me a lot in that practicum time. It was jam-packed, but was really good. I learned a lot, and I was able to transfer most of the skills into practice that I had learned at ABES there. So from there, I think from the first week itself, I was seeing good review. There was, of course, there was so much room for my own improvement, which, my supervisor was teaching me. But at the same time, I did see, that they were quite satisfied with what I was doing. And towards the end of the practicum, they offered me a job. Before my practicum got over, they were happy to offer me. And so, of course, I was happy too, thankful to take the opportunity. And I work as a caseworker there right now at the day program. So I am, again, responsible for women in my caseload. I'm just literally doing what I was doing in the practicum, but with more responsibility and more authority. So my day program director, she mentors me. And so typically, teaching, goal setting, counseling them, not the real counseling therapy sessions, but going through them in their journey and taking them as they transition into life after this program. So this is what I'll be doing. And so we regularly meet women who do have mental health issues, who have a lot of physical issues, and they do have substance abuse in their past. So of course, that is the demographic I work with.
Wow, I'm just in awe. It's such an incredible story that you've got, like every step of the way. I find myself like this often with these kinds of conversations with community support workers, where I'm just humbled. I'm really, really humbled, Rima, and
Thank you.
I feel really fortunate that you've been willing to share some of your story with us. Anna, do you have anything you want to ask?
I think with the only thing that came to mind just at the end, I've heard Rima's story a couple of times, and I always enjoy listening to her experiences. But I think one aspect that kind of came to mind at the end was trauma, the importance of understanding trauma and how it's at the base of everything that we're going to face out there. And a lot of us think, well, trauma is only for like veterans or people who have had terrible things happen to them. But the reality is that we all carry trauma with us. So Rima, I think my question for you, or if you could elaborate on how your understanding of that trauma has helped you have that sense of empathy and compassion for your clients.
Just like how we were learning in curriculum, trauma-informed care was something new for me, even though I was in healthcare before coming to ABES, but somehow my experience with healthcare wasn't that much trauma informed. I remember when I was studying, I used to say that if I knew this, I think I would have been a better dentist in my home country, because empathy comes from trauma informed care. Otherwise, it's only solutions. You just give out solutions to people and you're actually not bothered of its outcome. You do your part and you just go. But when we start looking at somebody with a trauma-informed care lens, we understand the journey that they have traveled to reach right in front of us at this moment. So whatever they're showing or reacting to or sharing, it's like after a huge journey. It's a huge step for them even to build trust with somebody like me who's just listening to this story right now. So I take that as a huge responsibility. When one of my participants trust enough to share their story, I think that's huge, because only when we see them in that lens, we can understand how difficult it is someone who has undergone trauma to start trusting again, to start believing again. And there are a lot of reactions that actually happen on a neurophysical science level in the brain that actually, so much of coping mechanisms that people have, are used to during trauma, and they could be reacting in a heightened way, in a distressed way, and that has nothing to do with me. So unless I have a trauma-informed care perspective, I would be thinking that they're just throwing it at me, but actually it isn't. And at the same time, when we understand trauma-informed care, it helps me as a caseworker or anybody who stands as a caregiver to understand that I also could be triggered because of some trauma that I have gone through. And just like how you said, Anna, trauma is not like just you go through a big catastrophe like an earthquake, or a loved one has passed away. That is not only trauma. Of course, that is devastating trauma, but trauma can be just very simple as a burnout or a work stress or a family relationship issue that is causing trauma, because the brain and the whole physical reactions and the emotional mental state that reacts to trauma is the same. I'm not saying I'm not I don't have the authority to say like, okay, your story is less painful, mine is more. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say, for each person, the body and the mind reacts to trauma almost in the same way. The person could be reacting to a simple childhood trigger, a memory of a little abuse or something that pulled the child down, even an emotional comment in a same way as that person would react to a car accident. So the trauma cannot be put up or down. It cannot be measured. Only that person knows the pain that the person went through. And that same thing comes for the caregivers. So unless we as a caregiver, as a caseworker, understand what traumatizes me, if yelling is something that has traumatized me when I was small and my participant starts yelling, so I need to know that I need to take care of myself with the same care that I'm giving my participant, or else I wouldn't be able to put in the principles of trauma-informed care. Trauma-informed care is beautiful. It has 6 building principles actually, and the focus is meeting them where they are at, giving them the empowerment and their choice, helping them to feel safe. And myself, I need to feel safe too. Keeping boundaries, helping them to transition into healing at their time and not at my time. So it's a totally different perspective, but it's a very beautiful approach. And I think trauma-informed care is essential for any caregiver, not only in this field, but in many other fields. I feel like if this could be, I remember saying that once in class, I wish this was included in my curriculum when I was becoming a dentist. So yeah, so it's a totally beautiful curriculum, and it's a very powerful and empowering perspective.
I would just say it again. I'm in awe, and I just think I know your time is very valuable, Rima, and I could talk to you all night, or at least I could listen to you talk all night. But I just want to impress upon you and anybody who's listening to this. This is just my limited perspective, just how incredibly important this skill set is, how incredibly valuable and how incredibly important this skill set is, and how fortunate I feel that we have gifted teachers like yourself, Anna, and just such incredibly enthusiastic learners like yourself, Rima, and how thankful I feel just to be a fly on the wall in this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really an honor, Rima, for having you here. And I think just a testament to, you represent so many students who have put in the work, not only academically, but have put themselves in a vulnerable spot where you looked at yourself truthfully and you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, these are my triggers. And this is where, you know, I'm afraid of this and I'm anxious about this. And only when we have the courage to do that can we be exceptional workers. And you did that, and you are an exceptional worker. So that makes me really happy that you put in that work. And that's really all I can ask for from an instructor perspective, is for those students to really just dive into that curriculum and yeah, that self-discovery, like you said at the beginning. I think that's probably one of the most valuable things we can get out of this program, and you embody it perfectly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rima, you've shared so much, but I just kind of wanted to give you an open mic. Is there anything that you want to that you don't think that we haven't covered that you think is really important that you wanted to just mention or discuss?
If I could, I would definitely encourage the students who are under this program right now in ABES, that it could, you know, during study, it could feel it's a little daunting at times, because self-discovery is not easy. You do have to face some truths, and healing is always not easy. And sometimes we do feel, are we cut out for this? Did we take the right choice? But if something in your intuition had led you to care for people, definitely this is the right choice. So just stick on. It'll get easier and better as you go. And for people who have graduated and still looking for a job, definitely you will find one. People outside are hurting, and they do need empathetic people like you. So this is what I would like to say to the students at ABES.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you. I just want to remind everybody, if you view this after it's live, whatever that's called, then I'll be monitoring this for comments. We will continue to engage with any kind of comments or questions that are on this video, either on Facebook or on YouTube. And stay tuned. We're planning to do a live conversation just like this once a week, to broadcast live and then simultaneously post that again on YouTube. So we're trying to be more active on both platforms, and that includes just starting conversations and keeping conversations going. Thanks so much for your time, Rima. I appreciate it so much. It's a pleasure to hear your story and to benefit from some of your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you, Anna. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you.
Thanks so much to you, Anna. And I'll see you tomorrow. And Rima, I hope we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Take
Have
care.
a good evening.
Bye.